What you don't see in your water can matter more than what you do. Every day, you drink it, cook with it, and use it without thinking twice. It looks clear. It tastes normal. And because of that, it feels safe. But the reality is, water quality isn't always as simple as it appears. Most people assume that if water comes from the tap, it has already been cleaned and tested, and in many cases, that's true. Water treatment facilities are designed to remove harmful contaminants and meet safety standards. But those standards are not perfect. They are based on acceptable limits, not complete elimination. That means small amounts of certain substances can still be present, even after treatment. And more importantly, the journey of water doesn't end when it leaves the treatment plant. Once treated, water travels through a network of pipes before reaching your home. These pipes can be old, worn, or made from materials that slowly degrade over time. As water moves through them, it can pick up trace elements, things like metals, sediments, or residues that weren't part of the original treatment process. This is one of the first hidden layers of risk. The second is variability. Water quality can change depending on where you live, the condition of your local infrastructure, and even the plumbing inside your own home. Two households in the same city may have different water quality simply because of differences in pipes or maintenance. And this is where things become less predictable. Because while the system as a whole may be regulated, what reaches your glass is influenced by many small factors along the way. Then there's the issue of visibility. Most contaminants are not visible. They don't change the color of the water. They don't always affect the taste or smell. So even if something is present, you may have no way of noticing it without testing. This creates a false sense of security. Clear water does not always mean clean water. Another factor that often goes unnoticed is chemical treatment. To make water safe for distribution, certain chemicals are used during the treatment process. These help remove bacteria and other harmful organisms. However, traces of these substances can remain in the water by the time it reaches your home. For most people, these levels are considered acceptable. But the long-term impact of continuous exposure to low levels of multiple substances is something that continues to be studied. This doesn't mean the water is immediately harmful, but it does highlight the complexity of defining what safe really means. Then there's storage and handling. Even after water reaches your home, the way it is stored and used can affect its quality. For example, water left sitting in pipes overnight can accumulate small amounts of materials from the plumbing. That's why some people choose to run the tap for a few seconds before using it. It's a small detail, but it shows how dynamic water quality can be. Now, when people start to think about these factors, they often look for alternatives. Bottled water is usually the first option that comes to mind. It seems simple. It's sealed, labeled, and easy to store. But bottled water has its own set of variables. It can be stored for long periods. It may be exposed to heat during transportation. And in some cases, it originates from the same municipal sources as tap water. So while it may feel different, it's not always fundamentally different. This brings us back to the central issue. The challenge isn't just identifying one bad source of water. It's understanding that water quality depends on multiple stages: treatment, transportation, storage, and usage. And at each stage, small changes can occur. This is why more people are starting to shift their approach. Instead of asking whether their water is safe in general, they begin asking how they can reduce uncertainty. How can they have more visibility into what they're drinking? How can they make small improvements that increase consistency? Some choose to test their water. Others use basic filtration methods to remove certain contaminants. And some explore more hands-on approaches that allow them to manage their water directly at home. These approaches vary in complexity and cost, but they share a common goal: control. Not total control, but enough to reduce reliance on unknown variables. One example of this shift is the growing interest in methods that modify water properties, such as mineral balance or pH levels. Water ionization is one of these methods. Whether or not someone chooses to use it, the idea behind it is part of a broader trend. People want to understand and influence what they consume. And that leads to the key insight. The hidden dangers in your drinking water are not always extreme or immediate. They are subtle. They come from small, often overlooked factors: aging pipes, trace residues, storage conditions, and variability over time. Individually, these factors may not seem significant, but together, they create uncertainty. And for many people, reducing that uncertainty becomes the priority. Not out of fear but out of awareness. Because once you realize how many variables are involved, it becomes clear that relying on assumptions is no longer enough. You don't need to overcomplicate things, but you do need to be informed. Understanding where your water comes from, how it's delivered, and what options you have to improve it even in small ways can make a meaningful difference over time. So the question isn't just, is my water safe? It's, how confident am I in the water I use every day? And that's a more practical question to answer. If this gave you a different perspective on something as routine as drinking water, there's a resource in the description that walks through a simple way some people are improving their water at home using basic, low-cost methods. It's designed to help you understand the process step by step, so you can evaluate it for yourself. And if you want more content like this clear, structured explanations of everyday systems that often go unnoticed, consider subscribing. Because the more you understand the basics, the easier it becomes to make better decisions.